Hello and welcome to Property Question Time. This is the programme where you can have your property related questions answered by our team of property experts. I'm Stephen Galpin and with me today are Michelle Nizio, property investor and angel investor on Property Elevator. Welcome, Michelle.
Hi Stephen, thanks for having me.
Pleasure. John Howard, property developer, author and of course again angel on our property investor programme. How are you today?
I'm very well, Stephen. Good to be back.
Good, welcome back.
Thank you.
As always. And joining us by link to Portugal is Angela Worrell, who is a director of Ideal Homes International, based in Portugal, and obviously expert in that subject. So we'll go to the first question, Michelle. I'm afraid it's a long one. My girlfriend and I are looking to purchase a property, but we don't know if we have to pay the higher or lower rate stamp duty. There's a difference of about £16,000, and if we have to pay the higher rate, then we definitely can't afford it at the moment. We both live together in rented accommodation and have done for nearly 3 years. But my girlfriend has 3 buy-to-let properties, although has never lived in them or owned them as her own main residence. I've previously owned a house and sold it in the summer of 2015. Based on some research, I would meet the lower bracket due to having sold my main residence, but my girlfriend would, due to owning the buy-to-let properties, attract the higher rate. We're not exactly sure what category we fall into. Can you advise us, please?
Very, very long question, Stephen, but with a very, very short answer. They would definitely fall into the higher rate stamp duty tax bracket because she's not replacing her main residence. So, yeah, definitely the higher rate.
Okay.
So are you saying then he still pays stamp duty because he's not a first-time buyer as such because he used to own a house?
Yeah.
But he pays the normal stamp duty, if you like, and she has to pay ×3.
If they're purchasing together, they have to pay the higher rate.
Right. Anyway.
The option could be that he would buy independently of her,
yes,
and then he would only be paying the lower rate
and
stamp
if I say,
duty.
Michelle, never a bad idea.
Well, absolutely.
Well, I mean, heaven forbid we suggest any sort of tax avoidance or evasion,
Absolutely.
but I mean, surely the simple answer would be that,
Check with
he
his solicitor.
he buys it in the first place and then simply
Puts
adds
her
her on as an
Puts
owner
her
later
on the mortgage later.
There could be stamp duty issues there with
Right.
transferring half of the equity or however they do it.
And of course the solicitor is now responsible and penalised should that happen.
Should anything
Yeah, oh
crop up,
yes, the solicitor is penalised double. Is it twice the stamp duty as a penalty?
I think
Something
it
like
is.
that.
But I mean, I think this is classic, isn't
Yeah.
it? Whatever you're doing in property, get expert advice.
Ask your
Just follow
solicitor.
it,
Confirm always, as we always say, get legal advice. Just to double check.
But genuinely, if he was to purchase it in his own name, if he can afford it,
Yes.
and she was named on the mortgage as an occupier, so she signed an occupier's consent, there's no problem with that. There's no avoidance there.
And if they're married, she doesn't even need to do that. Marry her. That's the answer. That's the answer.
Well,
there we go.
There you are.
Marry her.
So it's
We've sorted it.
Property question
Michelle
time.
and I have sorted it out.
Matchmaker.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Matchmakers.
Matchmakers now. All right. Well, John, thank you for that. Michelle, thank you. John, your question.
Yes.
Could somebody please explain how house insurance works if you have more than one property? I've recently moved and have let my old house out to a young couple. I've therefore got 2 houses and 2 contents policies. The latest policy was through a comparison site who highlighted a better price with a different insurer. I'm thinking of getting a buy-to-let mortgage and a third property. Can I possibly have one policy for all 3 homes, or is each one taken on its own merits?
Well, the first thing I would say is that there are all these comparison sites out there, and I know people swear by them, think they're very good, but once you start getting more than 1 or 2 properties, I always think it's best to go to a broker. You won't be paying any more, and a broker's job is to find the best rate. And if there's a claim, it's the broker's job to sort the claim out for you. So they're working for you. So my advice would be find a good insurance broker, go and see them and see what they can help you with, how they can help you. Because if you're starting to gear up into property, you want to be professional, you want a professional team around you, and that would include, for me, a good insurance broker.
Seems to me you want good sort of personal advice rather than a sort of algorithm advice.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I would
And
completely agree.
all these sites are fine until you have a claim.
Yeah.
You know, and when you have a claim, you want some fighting on your behalf.
Yeah, absolutely. You can get group policies as well.
Yeah.
What I would recommend that they do is they've got 2 properties. One, did you say that was rented out?
Yes.
One
So-
they live on their own, one
Yeah.
2 rented, they're
So
buying another one.
they need to make sure that the one that they've got that is rented out, whether it's on a buy-to-let mortgage or a consent to let, actually is landlord's insurance. So that's really important.
But
So-
again, if you go to a good broker, they'll sort it all out for
Yeah.
you. If you tick the wrong box online, you might not even be insured, because don't forget, if it's vacant,
yeah,
a lot of these insurance companies will not insure a house or property if it's vacant.
for more
Yet-
than 30 days.
Yet
yeah,
your broker
absolutely.
will sort that
Yeah.
out for you. And we've got lots of property that are vacant, well, before we develop them and so on, they're all insured.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right, we're going to move over now to Angela, who's in Portugal.
We'd like to be in Portugal, wouldn't we, Michelle?
Yeah, we would like
We'd
to.
love to be
I
there.
think we all would.
I
Yeah.
think I think next
Next time we should
programme.
actually film it,
Yeah.
I think.
Right, well, I'll have a word with the
Thank
producer
you.
and see what we can do. Okay. Angela, this is your question. How easy is it to find a good property management company in Portugal? I originally wanted to buy a property there and commute by train from Spain, but now think it's more sensible to move to Portugal and let the property out myself. What are the panel's thoughts?
To find a rental company in Portugal is quite easy. To find a good one, I would suggest that you go to maybe an estate agent that actually sell the property and do the rentals. These are more geared up for looking after the client because they're long-term clients and not only just renting from them, but they've bought from them as well. So they tend to have a really, really good service. It isn't good to commute across the border by train from Portugal to Spain. By car, very easily. And if you do decide to buy over the border and you don't want to be in a city, a good place to look for is the Isla Canela. So you've still got the beach and you've got the nice, relaxed lifestyle.
Angela, thank you very much for that. Now, that's all we've got time for in this first half of the programme, so join us again shortly after the break.
Investing in property and building a portfolio can be easy with the right support and service. From property sourcing to selection and financing, through to refurbishment, vetting and letting. Michelle Niziel's bespoke property investment service does all the hard work so you don't have to. Let Michelle take care of all the headaches while you relax and earn stress-free profit. Contact her now to find out how easy it really can be.
My name is John Howard, and I've been investing and developing properties for over 40 years. In that time, I've been very successful, but of course I've always made the odd mistake as well. In my book, I explain how to be successful and what to do should something go wrong. I've survived 3 property recessions. I can help you do the same. My book is available online. Please go to johnhowardpropertyexpert.co.uk.
If you're dreaming of a home in Portugal, look no further. Ideal Homes is here to help. We have over 10 years' experience finding people their dream homes in the Algarve, Lisbon and across the rest of the country. We pride ourselves in offering a friendly, personal service. And if you'd like your dream of a home in Portugal to become reality, then contact us now and see how easy the process can be. Call 0800 133 7644 or visit idealhomesinternational.co.uk.
The tax system has evolved significantly over recent years for property investors and developers. You may think that you and your accountant have a grip on these changes. However, unless you're receiving specialist tax advice from a specialist tax advisory firm, then it's unlikely to be the case. At ETC Tax, our team of highly experienced chartered tax advisors work with private individuals and companies to deliver effective tax planning whilst meeting HMRC compliance requirements. Let us help you to meet your personal or commercial objectives in the most tax-efficient manner. ETC Tax, making the complex simple.
If you've got a question about property, why not ask an expert? Property Question Time gives you the opportunity to ask anything you want, whether it's about planning, finance, conveyancing, moving abroad, literally anything that's property related. The Property TV panel of experts are available to answer your questions no matter how complex they may seem. Simply email your question to info@propertytelevision.tv and join us on Sky Channel 189 to hear your questions answered.
Welcome back to Property Question Time. I'm Stephen Galpin, and with me are Michelle Nizio, John Howard and Angela Worrell. Welcome back. Michelle, you're first in this hub. Can anyone advise me how often I should look at my mortgage and try to get a better deal? I don't want to seem to be constantly shopping around with lenders, though that's really what I want to do. Any advice?
Yeah, so it really depends on whether they're tied in or not. So I'm assuming with that question that they're possibly sitting on standard variable rate. So if they've got no early redemption penalties, which means that obviously to redeem the mortgage they're going to incur fees to the lender, then we would actually encourage to regularly contact their mortgage broker should be in touch with them probably on a 6 monthly to yearly basis. That's what we would do with our clients. So regularly review the rates, especially if Bank of England base rate is going to rise. So the minute that Bank of England base rate moves, then absolutely they should be having a look at, are they on the best deal? Are they on the best deal for their circumstances? But if they're sitting on a good standard variable rate with no tie-ins, then yeah, just a regular review every 6 months to 12 months would absolutely be my advice.
Okay. I mean, I'm seeing now on the television we have adverts where there's companies offering to automatically switch you for your power from gas to electric.
How does that work?
Well, I'm just wondering, is that going to happen with mortgages? Are you going to have an email from somebody one day saying, well, we've had a look at your mortgage and you need to be
I very much doubt it. You know
on.
why? Because it's personal and it's emotional, and energy has got no feelings or emotions attached to it. Whereas a mortgage is
That's when I get my bill, I can tell you.
And mine.
Yeah, horror as you open.
Switch the lights off, please, everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. So apart from that, mortgages are attached to circumstances. So that's why there's never ever going to be, in my opinion, I don't think we'll ever see in my lifetime, an app where it's being switched over, because it is about advice. I think it's always going to be about advice. So whether you're dealing with one of these chat bots, at the very end of it, there is actually somebody that you do speak to on the phone where, just checking that it is the right thing for you and your family, and circumstances change so much.
It's definitely worth checking every 6 months to a year to see if what new rates are out there and all the rest of it.
And to be honest, even if you are tied in, so let's just say, for instance, through the recession, a lot of people tied themselves into a 5 or a 10-year fixed rate. And actually, they did that for security. And then when the Bank of England base rate dropped right down, they actually were better off by remortgaging and incurring early repayment charges to come out of it. So even if you are tied in for a long time, a really good broker should be revisiting their database and contacting their clients every year.
I was just going to say, there are, I know you mentioned, well, as long as you've not got any sort of penalties for changing, but even if you have, doesn't preclude you, because a lot of the new lenders will offer perhaps some incentive for evaluations, that sort of thing, which can,
Cash
can
back.
negate
They
that.
will,
Yeah.
but also, of course, if you overpay your mortgage, you can presumably reduce the years.
Yeah.
And that seems to me the most sensible. You know, it sounds a very sensible thing to do. If you can afford to pay more and reduce the amount of years you've got a mortgage for.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yearly as
Review.
a minimum I would be doing, and
Okay, thank you. John?
Yes.
My husband has a couple of small rental properties, but has left me to live with someone in Spain.
Right.
I've started getting calls about maintenance and decided that it's a case of him not coming back. I should try and make them part of the settlement. I'm advised that if I actively participate in their management, it would strengthen my case throughout the divorce proceedings. As the divorce may take a year or two, I want to be sure that being seen to be doing these things properly is the right thing to do. Can anybody give me some informal advice?
Goodness me. Well, I don't want to take sides, obviously, in any shape or form, but she does say, and I'm very sorry to hear the situation, she does say that she's been advised already. So if that advice has come from a solicitor, her divorce lawyer or whatever, then obviously I'm sure it's the right thing to do. If it's come from a friend, my advice is speak to the divorce lawyer first and find out if it is true. So, but it would make a bit of sense to have it part of it's probably part of the settlement anyway, I'd have thought. But I'm no divorce lawyer, and I never want to be involved in any situation like that, Stephen. So if I can help it at all costs.
I'm not going to make too many comments, but I think if I remember rightly, I think any settlement will come from the completion of, I think it's a Form E, isn't it, where all the assets on both sides are quantified and declared.
Quantified and declared.
And it's very rare that you get an individual section of those assets being dealt with as a separate entity. What do you think, Michelle?
Yeah, I think that it's going to be dealt with as in its entirety.
As a whole,
yeah, absolutely. So
anyway,
and it depends on what agreements they've had drawn up prior. So if they had any trust deeds, so very often I see that, trust deeds where potentially that has already been taken care of, but prior to obviously any divorce. So it depends on.
So the good news is she may not need to help with any of the management and still get some benefit from it.
Absolutely,
but she needs to talk to a lawyer.
Do you know what? I think you're right, John. I think, obviously talk to a lawyer, but also I think it's the same across the spectrum. Whatever you're doing, behave properly, do the right things, and when anybody looks at
the
it,
right advice.
Absolutely,
it's going to be
good
right,
advice,
isn't it?
Steve.
Okay, well, thank you both for that. Now we're going to move over to Angela in Portugal. Angela, your question is this. Is Portugal being developed quickly like Spain, or is it more stable? Is it a more relaxed place to consider buying in? If so, what are the best areas for a Southern Irish person who will still be in the EU to consider?
Portugal's not being built at a rate that Spain ever has or ever is being done now. Portugal's got a really strict building restrictions on things, so it does mean that property is not in abundance, which if you're looking for something, it can cause you harder to find the actual right property, but in the sense it is good because it never feels overcrowded, it's very relaxed, it's a very traditional way of living compared to Spain. As an Irish person, EU, really anywhere, it doesn't really matter. You could be Chinese, American, English, EU, the buying process and being able to live here. Obviously, some people need visas, but the end result anywhere is good enough for everybody.
Okay, Angela, well, thank you very much for that question. Right, we're coming to our last question for this show, and it's a question I'm going to put to you both because it does encompass both the legalities of ownership and alterations and, of course, development to some extent. And it's this. I'm trying to sell my ex-council flat, and and the council have recently put on a new roof and new windows.
All right.
However, my buyer solicitor have come back saying there are no building regulations for this. Where do I go from here?
Ladies
Ooh.
first.
No building on a council flat. There's
On
no
a
building
council flat
regulations.
with the council doing the
That
work.
is just
Yeah,
bizarre.
Shall I go, would you like me to go
Yeah.
first? Okay. So what I would say is I doubt that's true. So the good news, hopefully, is that there is, and that they just haven't asked the right department to come up with it.
Or if it is true,
Or it is true.
then the council will have to sort
Exactly.
it, won't they?
So
it
actually,
should
either
be
way, you're quite
easily
right, Michelle.
resolved.
Yeah, Michelle's right. Either way, it should be resolved fairly easily, I think. If it was someone else, I'd be more worried. But the council,
Yeah.
you know, I can't see in the long run. But what I would say is that if it's a leasehold flat, the council won't have put the roof on for nothing. So there is a service charge element to this. And have they paid the extra amount it costs to put the roof on and do the windows? Because they will be normally they would have to share in the cost of that.
With the management company.
Yeah, with the management
I can't remember what the section is. It Section 20 notices?
Section
would
20
have,
notice, yeah.
20
Yeah.
notices, and it would have had to gone out for this.
It
Yeah.
would have done, yeah.
And the work should have been specified in those.
Yeah,
should it not?
absolutely. I
Absolutely, yeah.
can't believe it hasn't got. Doesn't sound right to me. So I'm hoping for their sake that they just haven't asked the right questions at the right department. And these solicitors can be very awkward. They probably know the damn answer, but they ask it and panic everyone. And you just have to run around and get the bit of paper from the local authority. So I think hopefully that's the end of the matter.
Well, also, again, I suppose, you know, something that we suffer from a lot in London here on conveyancing, you get an out-of-town solicitor trying to deal with leasehold properties. They're not familiar with the
Yeah.
They're
process.
not experienced now.
No.
Yeah.
I agree. It is a specialist area, really.
Yes.
Yeah.
So your advice then would be go back to the council yourself, you think?
Shall-
Yeah, because
sure, we both
it-
agree with that.
If it is that it hasn't got building regs, then the council will have to sort it because they will
can't-
not be able to sell it without it.
No,
So
they would have made sure it's been done properly if the council have done it.
Well, having said that, John, of course we've had the difficulty over this cladding, haven't we, put onto buildings, which hasn't been done
No,
properly.
but that's
Yeah.
a bit different, Stephen. I mean, you're going back a long time with some of this combustible cladding, and that's I would say it's a completely different issue.
Okay.
Yeah.
And do you think that issue has finished now? Do you think
No, I think it's a major problem, and I
Yeah.
mean, you know, as you know, I've been involved in tower blocks for a long time, and the government have now said they're going to pay for some of these tower blocks to be replaced with the cladding, which surprises me because it's not really their responsibility.
that was a couple of $100 million, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's not their responsibility, really, Stephen. It's it's the freeholders via the lessees. Yeah. So they've been good about it.
Yes. I just think it's great that all these properties with this unlawful cladding have now at least been identified, and at least something's being done.
Yeah, they've all been surveyed. Yeah, absolutely.
So at least we're moving there.
Yes.
All right, well, look, that's all we've got time for on this show. Thank you both very much indeed for contributing. That's John Howard and Michelle Niziol. And also to Angela Warren in Portugal. Thank you all very much
It's a
indeed.
pleasure as always.
thank you.
Join us next time on Property Question Time. I'm Stephen Galpin. Look forward to seeing you then.
If you have any questions you'd like to send to the experts at Property Question Time, you can submit them via our website, on social media, or email us on info@propertytelevision.co.uk.
Investing in property and building a portfolio can be easy with the right support and service. From property sourcing to selection and financing, through to refurbishment, vetting and letting. Michelle Niziel's bespoke property investment service does all the hard work so you don't have to. Let Michelle take care of all the headaches while you relax and earn stress-free profit. Contact her now to find out how easy it really can be.
Proper Wealth covers all areas of wealth creation with a specific focus on property. Hosted by international property finance expert Paul Mahoney, the show invites industry experts to share their wealth of knowledge with viewers. From topics that include buy-to-let, tax, portfolio management, finance and planning, to hot investment spots and conveyancing, Proper Wealth covers it all. Proper Wealth, exclusive to Property TV.
My name is John Howard and I've been investing and developing properties for over 40 years. In that time, I've been very successful, but of course I've always made the odd mistake as well. In my book, I explain how to be successful and what to do should something go wrong. I've survived 3 property recessions. I can help you do the same. My book is available online. Please go to johnhowardpropertyexpert.co.uk.
If you're dreaming of a home in Portugal, look no further. Ideal Homes is here to help. We have over 10 years' experience finding people their dream homes in the Algarve, Lisbon and across the rest of the country. We pride ourselves in offering a friendly, personal service. And if you'd like your dream of a home in Portugal to become reality, then contact us now and see how easy the process can be. Call 0800 133 7644 or visit idealhomesinternational.co.uk.
If you've got a question about property, why not ask an expert? Property Question Time gives you the opportunity to ask anything you want, whether it's about planning, finance, conveyancing, moving abroad, literally anything that's property related. The Property TV panel of experts are available to answer your questions no matter how complex they may seem. Simply email your question to info@propertytelevision.tv and join us on Sky Channel 189 to hear your questions answered.
The tax system has evolved significantly over recent years for property investors and developers. You may think that you and your accountant have a grip on these changes. However, unless you're receiving specialist tax advice from a specialist tax advisory firm, then it's unlikely to be the case. At ETC Tax, our team of highly experienced chartered tax advisors work with private individuals and companies to deliver effective tax planning whilst meeting HMRC compliance requirements. Let us help you to meet your personal or commercial objectives in the most tax-efficient manner. ETC Tax, making the complex simple.
If you've got a question about property, why not ask an expert? Property Question Time gives you the opportunity to ask anything you want, whether it's about planning, finance, conveyancing, moving abroad, literally anything that's property related. The Property TV panel of experts are available to answer your questions no matter how complex they may seem. Simply email your question to info@propertytelevision.tv and join us on Sky Channel 189 to hear your questions answered.